Something happened inside a sealed building in Shenzhen that Washington did not want to believe was possible, and the entire global technology order is now shifting because of it. Inside a facility so secretive that engineers were reportedly given fake identification cards and told to use aliases even when talking to their own coworkers, China assembled a prototype of the one machine that was supposed to be permanently out of its reach. A machine that generates extreme ultraviolet light at the exact wavelength needed to carve the smallest transistor patterns ever created by human beings onto a silicon wafer. The machine exists. It is operational in a limited sense. It has been confirmed by multiple investigations, including a detailed report by Reuters. And the fact that it exists at all means that the foundational assumption holding together the entire American strategy of semiconductor dominance has just been proven wrong. For years, the plan was simple and it seemed airtight. You cut off China's access to the most critical piece of manufacturing equipment in the world, and you freeze its chip-making capability at a level that keeps it permanently behind the frontier. The machine in question is called an EUV lithography system. EUV stands for extreme ultraviolet. It is the technology that allows chip makers to print billions of microscopic circuit patterns onto silicon with such precision that the features being drawn are measured not in microns, not in hundredths of a micron, but in single-digit nanometers. To put that into perspective, a single strand of human hair is roughly 80,000 nanometers wide. These machines are printing features that are less than 10 nanometers across. That level of precision is what separates the most powerful chips on the planet from everything else. It is what makes the processors inside your phone, the accelerators inside AI data centers, and the computing systems inside the most advanced military hardware perform the way they do. Without EUV, none of that exists at the level it currently does. Only one company on Earth has ever successfully built an EUV lithography machine at commercial scale. That company is ASML, based in the Netherlands. Each machine they build weighs approximately 180 tons, takes up the footprint of a city bus, costs anywhere between $150 million and $400 million per unit, and contains well over 100,000 individual precision components sourced from suppliers across more than a dozen countries. ASML spent the better part of 2 decades and billions of euros developing EUV before it reached commercial viability in 2019. The engineering challenge involved was so extreme that even ASML's own engineers have described the internal development period as one of the most brutal sustained technical efforts in the history of the semiconductor industry. Because of that history, analysts, governments, and industry experts widely believed that China would need somewhere between 20 and 30 years to replicate it, even with unlimited funding and government priority. Western export policy was built entirely around that assumption. Starting in 2018, the United States began pressuring the Dutch government to block ASML from delivering its EUV systems to Chinese customers. That pressure worked. Not a single EUV machine was ever shipped to China. Then, in 2022, the export controls expanded dramatically, targeting not just EUV, but also deep ultraviolet lithography tools, the software used to design chips, advanced components, and even the people who work in the industry. The goal was to build a wall around the semiconductor frontier that China could not climb over, tunnel under, or walk around. And for a while, it appeared to be working. China's most advanced chip foundry, SMIC, was stuck producing chips at the 7 nanometer node using older, deep ultraviolet equipment and complicated multi-patterning techniques, a process that delivered working chips but at low yields and high cost, compared to what TSMC was producing with EUV technology in Taiwan. Then December 2025 arrived. Reuters published an investigation confirming that a high-security research facility in Shenzhen had successfully built and begun testing a prototype EUV lithography machine. The machine was reportedly completed in early 2025. It occupies nearly an entire factory floor. It successfully generates extreme ultraviolet light at the critical 13.5 nanometer wavelength. It has not yet produced functional chips. But the light source works. The optical system has been partially integrated, and the machine exists as a real, physical, testable object. This is not a simulation, not a theoretical design on paper, and not a rumor circulating on tech forums. It is a functioning prototype of a machine that the United States spent years and enormous diplomatic capital trying to ensure China would never possess. What makes the Shenzhen prototype even more significant is the structure of the program that produced it. Reuters described it as China's version of the Manhattan Project. Huawei reportedly sits at the center of a web of state research institutes, private companies, and university programs, all coordinating on different pieces of the problem simultaneously. The secrecy around the project is extreme, even by the standards of classified government programs. Engineers were reportedly required to sleep on site during project phases, had their phone access restricted, and worked in teams that were deliberately isolated from one another, so no single person knew the complete picture of what was being built. That kind of compartmentalization is not efficient for normal commercial research, but it is very effective when the priority is speed combined with information security. The involvement of former ASML engineers is perhaps the most striking detail in the entire story. EUV is not the kind of technology you can reverse engineer from diagrams alone. Even ASML insiders have said that having the blueprints and a physical example of their machine would not be enough to replicate it without the accumulated institutional knowledge of the people who built it. That knowledge lives in the engineers. And some of those engineers, after leaving ASML over the years, ended up working on this project in Shenzhen. According to reporting by Reuters, and confirmed by additional investigations published in early 2026, at least one significant figure involved in the light source development for the Shenzhen prototype previously led EUV light source research at ASML. That is not a coincidence. That is one of the most consequential talent transfers in the history of the technology industry. China also reportedly sourced components for the prototype from secondary markets and international auctions, acquiring parts from older ASML systems, as well as components from Nikon and Canon lithography equipment. Intermediary companies were reportedly used to mask some of these purchases. Around 100 recent engineering graduates were employed to reverse engineer specific components, with cameras mounted at each workstation and bonuses paid when someone successfully rebuilt a part to specification. This is not how you build a machine if you have access to normal supply chains. This is how you build a machine when you have been cut off from normal supply chains and you're determined to find a way regardless. Now here is what China has not yet achieved, because that matters just as much as what it has. Generating EUV light is the first major hurdle in building one of these systems, but it is nowhere near the finish line. Turning a light source into a production-ready machine, capable of reliably printing chips at high yields and commercial throughput speeds, is a fundamentally different and far more complex engineering challenge. ASML itself knows this better than anyone. The company demonstrated functioning EUV light sources years before the technology was ever commercially viable. The gap between a light source that works in a laboratory and a light source that works reliably in a manufacturing environment day after day without destroying the optics or contaminating the system took ASML years to close. Earlier approaches were abandoned entirely because they could not deliver enough power for practical manufacturing. The approach ASML ultimately committed to introduced massive engineering complexity in exchange for scalability. China is now facing that same second phase, and many experienced engineers believe this will be the slowest and most painful part of the entire journey. The optics problem is particularly severe. The mirrors used inside an EUV system, primarily manufactured by Carl Zeiss in Germany, are among the most precisely crafted physical objects ever produced. They must maintain smoothness at the atomic level while operating under vacuum in an environment where even microscopic contamination or vibration can collapse yields entirely. China has reportedly made progress integrating EUV light into an optical system, but significant refinement is still needed according to people familiar with the project. Many analysts believe the optics phase will stretch the timeline considerably beyond the internal target of 2028 that sources cited to Reuters, with more realistic estimates for actual chip production landing closer to 2030. But here's the thing about China's timelines that Western policymakers keep underestimating. China has a well-documented track record of being told something is impossible and then doing it anyway, often faster than anyone predicted. In shipbuilding, China launched more naval vessels in a single year than the United States built across an entire decade. In electric vehicles, Western automakers insisted that Chinese manufacturers could not compete on quality at competitive price points, and then BYD became one of the largest automakers on the planet. In solar energy, China was dismissed as a low-cost assembler and is now the dominant manufacturer of solar panels globally. The pattern repeats. The assumption of permanent incapability, followed by a reality where the capability quietly materializes and then scales faster than anyone prepared for. The talent pipeline feeding China's semiconductor push makes this pattern even more credible when applied to chips. Science and engineering programs at universities across the United States, Europe, and the United Kingdom have for years educated more Chinese students than domestic graduates in many specializations. Every major technology company and research institution has employed significant numbers of Chinese engineers. When companies go through layoffs, when research programs get canceled due to funding cuts, when engineers complete contract work and move on, the knowledge they carry does not disappear. It goes with them. Non-disclosure agreements are difficult to enforce domestically and largely unenforceable internationally. Institutional memory does not respect corporate paperwork. This is not speculation or conspiracy. It is simply how knowledge moves through the world, and China has been enormously effective at creating conditions that attract that knowledge home. Meanwhile, even before the EUV prototype became the headline, China was already making progress that challenged the assumption of a permanent technology freeze. SMIC, despite being restricted to older deep ultraviolet equipment, achieved production at the 7-nanometer node using multi-patterning techniques, a feat that required extraordinary engineering creativity to accomplish on machines that were never designed for that level of precision. By late 2025, SMIC had demonstrated the ability to produce chips at a 5-nanometer class process node, though yields remain low at approximately 20% compared to the 60% or higher yields that TSMC achieves with EUV-based manufacturing. In July 2026, reports confirmed that China had begun limited production of its own domestic deep ultraviolet immersion lithography machines, another capability that Western controls were designed to prevent. The wall is not holding in the way it was supposed to. In the artificial intelligence competition, this matters enormously. Every AI system operating at the frontier today, whether it is being trained by American labs, deployed in cloud platforms, or running inside military applications, depends on chips manufactured using EUV lithography. The H100 and H200 accelerators from NVIDIA that power the majority of the world's large-scale AI training runs are produced at TSMC using EUV processes. The gap between what China can manufacture today and what TSMC produces for American AI companies is real, significant, and consequential. But it is also narrowing. Huawei's Ascend 910C, produced on SMIC's 7-nanometer process, has been assessed as credibly competitive with mid-tier NVIDIA GPU products for enterprise AI inference workloads. That is not the same as matching the most advanced systems, but it represents meaningful capability deployed at meaningful scale inside China, independent of any foreign supply chain. The geopolitical response to China's EUV progress has itself become a source of tension. In June 2026, United States Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick raised concerns directly with ASML's senior executives, suggesting that an EUV machine or components associated with one may have entered China in violation of export controls. ASML denied the allegation forcefully, stating publicly that it has never shipped an EUV machine to China and has not shipped any component or module specifically designed for EUV use to China either. The company pointed out that its EUV systems contain built-in monitoring capable of detecting any unauthorized movement or interruption, and that the systems require ASML's direct involvement to be transported or relocated. The United States reportedly declined to share its evidence with ASML, citing sensitivity concerns. The dispute remained unresolved as of mid-2026, with the U.S. proposing in April 2026 that allied nations be legally required to coordinate their export restrictions more tightly with American controls. That proposal, if enacted, would put additional pressure on existing DUV sales to China, which currently represent roughly 20% of ASML's 2026 revenue. What all of this reveals is that the strategy of containment through hardware denial is reaching its practical limits. The assumption was that if you controlled the machines, you controlled the capability, and if you controlled the capability, you controlled the competitive outcome. That assumption made sense when the machine in question was singular enough and complex enough that replication seemed genuinely impossible within any relevant time frame. EUV was supposed to be that machine. The Shenzhen prototype does not mean containment has failed completely. China has not yet produced chips using EUV technology. The gap between the frontier node processes at TSMC and what SMIC can currently manufacture remains real and significant, but the gap is no longer static. It is closing. And the proof of concept that now exists in Shenzhen means the trajectory is established even if the timeline remains uncertain. The broader implication reaches beyond the chip industry itself. Semiconductors are not just a product category, they are the physical foundation of every significant technology of the current era. Artificial intelligence at scale requires chips. Advanced military systems require chips. Telecommunications infrastructure requires chips. The dominance of American technology companies, from cloud providers to defense contractors to consumer hardware manufacturers, rests on a foundation of access to the most advanced chips produced primarily in Taiwan using equipment from the Netherlands. If China achieves the ability to manufacture chips at the most advanced process nodes domestically, the leverage that the United States currently holds through technology denial becomes substantially weaker. Not immediately, not this year, and probably not by 2028. But the direction is now visible in a way it was not before. There is one more dimension to this story that deserves careful attention. China's EUV effort is not just an attempt to replicate what already exists. For the past 2 decades, advanced semiconductor manufacturing has been dominated by a small set of companies concentrated in the Netherlands, Japan, Germany, Taiwan, South Korea, and the United States. China's goal, if its current trajectory continues, is to become the first country to achieve near complete control of the entire semiconductor stack from raw materials through manufacturing equipment, through chip design, through final production. No single country has ever held all of those elements simultaneously. The United States depends on ASML for equipment, TSMC for cutting-edge fabrication, South Korean companies for memory, Japan for materials and chemicals. What China is building, slowly and at enormous expense and under conditions of intense external pressure, is a version of the semiconductor supply chain that answers to no one else. That is a fundamentally different strategic objective than simply catching up. It is an attempt to make the entire framework of Western technology leverage obsolete. The Shenzhen prototype is not the end of the story. It is probably not even the middle of it. The engineering challenges that remain between a light source that works in testing and a machine that prints chips at commercial yield and throughput are real, and they are hard, and they will take years to resolve. Analysts who urge caution about near-term timelines are correct to do so, but analysts who use those remaining challenges as a reason to dismiss what has already happened are making the same mistake that was made before the prototype was built. The machine exists. The program behind it is the largest and most disciplined semiconductor development effort any government has ever mounted. The talent is there. The funding is there. The urgency, given what is at stake, is absolute. The question that matters now is not whether China can eventually reach EUV-based chip production. The trajectory toward that outcome is no longer hypothetical. The question is whether the gap that still exists at this moment, a gap measured in yields and throughput and process node maturity, will be closed before the next generation of computing technology creates a new frontier that shifts the entire competition again. Whoever controls that next frontier, whether it is built on 2-nanometer silicon, on new materials like gallium nitride or carbon nanotubes, or on entirely different computing architectures, will shape what the technology world looks like for the following 2 decades. The race has not been decided. But the finish line has moved, the competition has changed, and the comfortable assumptions that held American semiconductor strategy together for the past several years no longer hold. What happens next in this race will determine the balance of power in artificial intelligence, advanced military systems, and global economic competitiveness for a generation. If you want to stay ahead of every development in this story as it unfolds, make sure you are subscribed and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.